Welcome everyone. We are very happy and very delighted for such a big turnout. Thank you all for taking the time to be with us today. Hedaya Islamic Community in Newtown is extremely happy to have you all join us today for this program and for the dinner afterwards. So first of all, my name is Hassan Kadham. I'm going to be your host and MC for the night. Our program runs from 7 o'clock and will end around 8:30, where we will have the call for prayers, and then we will all transition down afterwards to the gym, 3 floors down, where we will together have a dinner to break our fast. So once again, I'd like to thank you. We are delighted to have you all here with us today. In the Holy Quran, God has said in chapter 2, verse 183, "O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, that you may be God conscious." And so, as Muslims, we are aware that fasting is not something that we've invented. It is something that we share amongst our brothers, our neighbors, our friends from the other faiths, whether it be our Christian friends and brothers, or our Jewish friends and brothers, or other faiths as well. Earlier, right before the month of Ramadan, we worked with the Newtown Congregational Church to have a program called Fasting in Faith, where we explored together fasting amongst the different faiths, and it was a very enlightening experience for all of us. So we thought today to have this program and invite everyone in the Newtown community to join us and have a taste of what Ramadan means for us, and hopefully we'll have a program that is full of insightful things for everyone, and we hope and are sure that you will enjoy it. So without further ado, I want to start with the first thing in our program. As is in our tradition, we always start with a short recitation from the Holy Quran. And we have our dear young little sister, Maryam Bavnagarwala, who will come and recite a few verses from the Holy Quran. Let's greet her with a round of applause.
Peace be upon you. My name is Miriam, and I am a student in the homeschooling community at Hedaya Community Center. I recently completed 6th grade. I would like to share with you a chapter that is found in the beginning of the Quran. It is known as Al-Fatiha in Arabic, or the opener in English. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise is due to God, the Lord of the universe, the beneficent, the merciful, Lord of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, and to you alone we turn for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those on whom you have granted your grace, not the way of those on whom you've earned your anger, and not the path of those who have gone astray. This chapter is recited by Muslims every day during their 5 daily prayers. In prayer, this chapter actually serves as a conversation between God and the servant. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us that God said, "I have divided the prayer, Surah Al-Fatiha, into two halves between me and my servant. A half of it is for me, and a half for my servant, and my servant shall acquire what he asked for. If he says, "All praise and thanks be to Allah, the Lord of existence," God says, "My servant has praised me." When the servant says, "The most gracious, the most merciful," God says, "My servant has glorified me." And when he says, "The master of the day of judgment," God says, "My servant has glorified me," once again. When he says, "You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help," God says, "This is between me and my servant shall acquire what he sought." When he says, "Guide us to the straight path, the way of those on whom you have granted your grace, not the way of those whom earned your anger, nor of those who've gone astray," God says, "This is for my servant, and my servant shall acquire what he asked for." So when the Muslim recites this chapter of the Quran in his or her prayer, they're actually having a beautiful conversation with the Lord of the worlds. I would also like to tell you about a special verse in the Quran that is important for why we are here today. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. Believers, fasting has been prescribed for you, just as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may guard yourselves against evil. Fast for a specified number of days, but if anyone among you is ill or on a journey, let him fast the same number of days later. For those who can fast only with extreme difficulty, there is a way to compensate, the feeding of a needy person. But he who does good of his own accord shall be well rewarded, but to fast is better for you, if you only knew. The month of Ramadan is the month when the Quran was sent down as a guidance for mankind, with clear proofs of guidance and the criterion by which to distinguish right from wrong. Therefore, whoever you is present in that month, let him fast it. But he who is ill or on a journey shall fast a similar number of days later on. God desires ease for you, not hardship. He desires for you to fast the whole month, so that you may glorify him for his having guided you, so that you may render your thanks unto him. These verses tell us important things about the fast of Ramadan. Number 1, fasting has been a practice of all those who follow the Arabic faith since the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Number 2, fasting is only for the prescribed number of days, and God is so merciful that whoever is sick or traveling need not fast, but can make up the fast any other time during the year. Additionally, anyone who is permanently ill or cannot fast in general may simply feed the less fortunate to compensate. Number 3, the purpose of fasting is to increase our faith. Number 4, Ramadan is a special month because it is the month in which the Quran was sent down. This is why in Ramadan, Muslims pay special attention to reading and reciting the Quran, to show our thankfulness to God for granting us this book of guidance for our lives. Number 5, fasting begins when the crescent moon of Ramadan is sighted and ends either 29 or 30 days later, depending on the moon sightings at the end of the month. Number 6, Ramadan is not designed to be a hardship of fasting, but a means by which a person may draw closer to their Lord and become better guided and more grateful for all of their blessings, especially food and sustenance. Thank you for attending our program this evening. We hope that you will learn more about Ramadan and our faith while you are here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Mariam, for an eloquent introduction and very nice recitation. The month of Ramadan for Muslims is a month of community and spirituality. It is a month where the Holy Prophet has said we are guests with God, and therefore our even breathing is considered as if we are mentioning God and we're getting rewarded for it. The 3 words that most teenagers and people in high schools hear when they're asked if they're fasting is not even water. And in Ramadan, of course, we fast from early in the morning, right before sunrise, until sunset, and we don't even drink water. But we thought of giving you some different anecdotes from fasting from the different people in the community. So I'd like to invite our dear brothers Sadmun Ahsan and Muqsit Rafi, who will give us their reflections on Islam and Ramadan, and both of them are from Hedaya Islamic Youth. Please welcome them with a round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum, and good evening, everyone. So before I start, I just wanted to give a big thank you to Sister Iman and the rest of the crew here who put in a lot of work to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And of course, I want to thank all of you, Muslim and non-Muslim, for coming here and making this event a very special one, so thank you. So for me, Islam has always played a very large role in my life, and the importance of the community here has been paramount. So throughout high school here in Newtown High, I would actively participate in the mosque-sponsored activities like the iftar. Of course, I was a lot younger back then, and so I didn't really do anything like lead activities, and for the most part, I just participated in what we were doing. However, in my experience with Ramadan, as I went on to college, I saw my role in the community evolve slowly but surely. So as a freshman at Cornell, my place remained pretty much the same in the Muslim community there. The older and wiser students would often set up and organize and lead the events, and I would just kind of follow along and take instructions. But however, without our moms and dads being there, it was pretty hard for us to do all the work, and it was the responsibility of the student body to make sure that all the responsibilities were handled properly, especially during a demanding time like Ramadan. So as there was much to do, and often not enough hands to do it, I found myself having to step up and take on these new challenges. It started with observing first, listening, and taking instructions. But as the years went by, I found myself taking on more and more responsibility. So by the time I was completing my master's degree in my 5th year, I was already leading a lot of the student activities and rallying the student body in terms of engaging in Ramadan and setting up and making sure all the students had the right accommodations for this blessed month. I found that during this time it was very fulfilling and incredibly stimulating portion of my life during that time. However, once I left the bubble that was college, as many of you know, I found that as an adult, things were very different. So after a brief stint in finance on Wall Street, I found myself back in the throes of the old community where I had grown up among all of you. However, in the community, there wasn't that same structure and proximity like I had in college. I found that things were very different and essentially my role had been reset to zero. I knew that I wanted to get involved, but I just didn't know where to start and how. So that's why this Ramadan for me has been especially such a blessing for me. I was able to reconnect with several of the community members and especially the youth. So I realized that it's my duty as a young Muslim professional to ensure that the youth of the Ummah and the community at large continue to be educated and inspired each and every day. I've already tried starting some of the initiatives like offering some of my time for tutoring. So if any of you guys have kids who are failing physics or on the verge of failing math, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help them with that. So I'd like to conclude with this message for the young professionals here tonight, but more so the community at large. Let us use the remaining days of this holy month to reflect on the importance of our community and how we can better serve it, and also deliver the impact which will leave this place better for everyone. Jazakallah khair. Thank you everyone, and I hope you have a blessed evening.
Hello, I'm Muqsid, and I am part of Hedaya Islamic Center. So my speech is about how Islam affected my life. Growing up, I had the tendency of wearing my religion as a label, something to hold on to without knowing its true meaning. As a result, when the subject of religion came up in conversation with my non-Muslim friends, I tended to get easily defensive. If they didn't know about an aspect of my religion, rather than try and educate them on it, I'd get angry and take it as an ignorant statement. However, the older I got, the more I understood of my religion's place in the world. I became aware of the controversy that Islam had gained in both the media and in society, and knew that the reputation of the religion was going downward. Of course, this news made me upset, but it was at that moment that I realized that continuing to get offended whenever Islam was brought up in public would do me no good. Nowadays, I don't wear Islam as a label, but rather as a part of my life. I apply the teachings of the religion to my everyday life, treating people with respect and always trying to do the right thing. If people have questions about my religion, I simply answer them. And if people have negative things to say, I disregard their comments but still treat them with respect. Being a Muslim in America is not about being an outsider in a country, rather it is trying to be a decent person and respectful to everyone. Just as Ramadan taught me to be patient, Islam has taught me to be patient and tolerant of others. It has taught me that it is necessary to first improve myself in this world before properly communicating with others.
Thank you so much for Sadman and Muqsid for their reflections. As you can see, the Muslim community is a very diverse community. We have different colors, different countries, represented from different continents. Some speak Arabic, others speak Urdu, others speak English. We don't have one specific language. And so, hopefully you will find the diversity in our community today. But our next part will be inviting the little sisters, Maryam, Khadija, and Zara, who will give us a really nice song about Ramadan, which they prepared, and hopefully you will all enjoy. So please welcome them with a great round of applause.
So alive, it's like my soul flies in your I promise that I'll try throughout the year to keep your spirit alive. In my heart it never dies. Oh, Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب، ليتك دوما قريب.
That was pure talent. So again, as I mentioned earlier, Ramadan and the Muslim community is very diverse, and we have different communities experiencing Ramadan in different ways and different manners. We all fast, but Ramadan has a very cultural aspect to it. And we wanted to continue on the same path of reflections so that you may have, again, a bit of a taste of what it feels to be during the month of Ramadan as a Muslim. So I wanted to invite Mu'adh Bavna Garwala, Nail Al-Rafa'i, and Rahma Al-Rafa'i, who will, each one of us will give us their reflection on the month of Ramadan. Please welcome them with a round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. As a youth, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was known for his outstanding character, and he led a life that is an example for all youth. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to seclude himself in the month of Ramadan before he received prophethood. And in that time, he secluded himself from the various ills of society and focused on connecting with his Lord. The revelation which has been recited officially legislated Ramadan as a month of fasting and seeking to obtain righteousness through this act of worship. I have been celebrating Ramadan with my family since I can remember, and it is a time where we share meals together and also engage in meaningful worship as a family and in our community. Ramadan may be compared to other similar holidays which many of my own Interfaith friends celebrate. However, it is a holiday that lasts an entire month. And during the daylight hours, we fast, and then we break the fast with other Muslims at sunset. Some of my best memories growing up of Ramadan include breaking fast together as a community on the weekends and being able to taste such a vast variety of foods from Turkey, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, the Middle East, and so many more. When I think of my community, I am proud to have grown up in a town like Newtown where I can feel free to express my identity as a Muslim. Thank you, my beautiful town.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm going to be, my name is Naila Rafai, and I'm going to be sharing the purpose of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan has arrived, and Muslims all around the world will be observing the fast. For those who are not familiar with Islam and Ramadan, the purpose of this holy month is much more than abstaining from food and drink. It is the source of purification of the soul, heart, and mind. In the Quran, God says, "What you have believed, decreed upon you is fasting, as it was decreed upon those before you may become righteous." The month of Ramadan has served a dual purpose. They come hand in hand. It helps Muslims purify themselves upon their character as well as increase their spirituality as individuals detach themselves from those worldly desires such as food, drink. They allow themselves to become closer to God. During Ramadan, Muslims are expected to spend their free time in acts of worship such as prayer, Quran recitation, and attendance of the nightly prayer at the mosque known as Taraweeh. Taraweeh comes from the word Rah, which means rest and relax. My sister's going to do a poem about Ramadan. and today I'm going to recite a poem called Ramadan Poem. It's the special month of Ramadan, which we would like to share. Our family rises at dawn to fast and ends the day with prayer. We break our fast at sunset with a juicy date, remembering to help these in need before it gets too late. The spirit of giving is strong this month, and we would like to stay. Best wishes for the coming year and happy holidays.
Thank you to Mu'adh, to Nail, and to Rahma for their beautiful reflections. So, in 2017, it's not easy to be a Muslim in the world. And as a representative of the Muslim community, I want to reaffirm that we not only are part of this country and part of this community and part of this town, but we also love America and love to contribute to the success of America. And so we thought it would be relevant to have one of the great talents who just gave us a song, our little sister Khadija, come and sing to us again the song America the Beautiful. So please welcome again with a big round of applause.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crowned thee good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
So we have one more reflection, and then it's going to be our panel. Just for logistical purposes, I'd like to call the panel to come here so that you're ready immediately after the next reflection. So please, Brother Adil Ansari, Brother Munji Dawoodi, Dr. Ghada Angawi, Sister Malaka Shabazz Williams, and Sister Rachel Faust, please be here, and inshallah the panel will come right after the next reflection. So continuing on the same path of reflections, I want to welcome Ishal Jarar, who will give us the last piece of reflections on the month of Ramadan. Please welcome her with a big round of applause.
My name is Ishal, and I'm going to tell you the blessed month. There is a month that is certainly blessed. Of all the months, it is the best. In it many good deeds are done. Homework is easy and we have lots of fun. It was in this month that the Quran was sent down. So to the best man Muhammad, who lived in a desert town, this blessed month is here again. It's Ramadan, of course, so be happy, dear friend.
So it's time now for our panel. We have 5 esteemed guests who will be part of our panel. I will introduce them with a short bio, and I'd like to ask them to please come on stage. So we have first Brother Adil Ansari, who will talk to us about fasting and its physical phenomena. Adil Ansari is a teacher and youth mentor in Al-Hidaya's after-school program. He's a certified nutritional therapist, certified nutrition coach, and certified personal trainer. Adil has given presentations on how one may attain optimal health in the month of Ramadan and incorporate a healthy lifestyle as a Muslim. He is also a Newtown native. Brother Adil, with a round of applause, please. The next panelist is Dr. Ghada Angawi. She is a founder of Fanner Counseling. She is an expert in strategic leadership, intercultural coaching, and communication. She is a certified facilitator for the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, with Stephen Covey, a master neuro-linguistic programmer, and has spent years researching strategic and ethical leadership roles in strategic decision-making. Dr. Ngawi helps to coach high-performance individuals and has a passion for helping others excel through coaching and counseling. Dr. Ngawi will talk to us about women's rights and legacies in Islam. So I didn't get the memo. Apparently she's not here.
Maybe Dr. Gada will join us a little later.
Okay. So then the next panelist will be our dear sister Malaka Shabazz Williams. She is a local business owner and a Muslim. She owns an organic cakery as well as offers event planning services. Sister Malaka custom designs both her cakes as well as her events. Her children have also been inspired to entrepreneurship by her example as well. She has been instrumental in organizing this event's decor, and we are very grateful for her services. And volunteering her event planning services. Sister Malaka, please come on the stage. Sister Malaka will talk to us about Muslim women in business. The next panelist will be Sister Rachel Faust, who is a local Muslim celebrating 3 years since converting to Islam next month. She grew up in Reading and raised her 4 children in Newtown, Connecticut. She is the only Muslim in her family and prides herself in educating people about Islam and breaking the stereotypes of Muslims that are perpetuated by current society and media. Please welcome Sister Rachel Faust. Rachel will talk to us about her journey to Islam. And finally, last but not least, Brother Munji Dawoodi, who was born and raised in Tunisia. He moved to the US when he was 19 years old and studied electrical engineering at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. As the executive director of CARE Connecticut, he conducts civil rights workshops throughout the state of Connecticut under the title Know Your Rights. Also, he leads several workshops and discussions on Islamophobia and the Muslim experience before and after 9/11. He has participated and led several media campaigns and press conferences on issues concerning the Muslim community, ranging from discrimination and hate crime cases to advocating for the change of racial profiling laws in the state of Connecticut. Please welcome Brother Munji Dawoodi. Brother Munji will talk to us about what is Sharia law and what does it mean in America. So I'd like to ask the panelists to give us about 8 minutes to talk about their topics so that we have some time for Q&A at the end. Let's start with Brother Adil and with fasting and its physical phenomena.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to our wonderful gathering. So I'm sure we all get the gist by now that Muslims fast during the month of Ramadan. And although this is something unique to our religion, this is in fact something that's been practiced by people of many other theologies, as well as by people who just want to achieve a specific or optimal level of health. If you look back into the history of society, we look as far back as to the time of Plato, and we saw that Plato was a very big advocate of fasting. And Plato said he himself fasted for greater mental and physical efficiency. Fast forward some years later, and we see one of the founding fathers of this country, Benjamin Franklin, was also a very big pioneer in regards to emphasizing fasting. And Ben Franklin said, the best of all rest, or the best of all medicine, are rest and fasting. And then when we fast forward to the fields of science, medicine, and health and wellness today, we see very prominent doctors and figures who are big advocates of fasting and utilizing this very, very unique approach to not only maintain our physical well-being, but achieve situations or experiences of health that are only unique and can only occur if someone enters into a state of fasting. And so again, although this is something that's been practiced for early on within our civilization, we're seeing this becoming more and more popular today. And as the research continues to grow, we find that fasting is something that creates such unique change and such incredible phenomena within the body that there's no other therapy on this earth that can actually mimic the same effects that fasting offers. And so some of the things that we see in the body of someone when they're fasting, both under a microscope as well as on the surface, are phenomena that include things like hormesis. And so hormesis is a phenomenon our body undergoes as a stress response to putting ourselves into a state of establishing resiliency. So for example, someone enters into a state of not eating or drinking for a set period of time. At the end of the day, this is a physiological stress that's being placed in the system. Now over time, what happens is someone's body, through this concept of hormesis, establishes a sense of resiliency. And so now this person that used to get hungry 4, 5, 6 hours into their fast can now survive 10, 12, even 14, 16 hours into the day. So they've established a sense of resiliency to this low level of physiological stress that's coming through the form of fasting. But the benefits that come from this act of hormesis actually go far beyond just surviving without food or water. This resiliency that our bodies are able to require by abstaining from food and water now give us a better ability to fight off things like harmful bacteria, toxins, viruses, to protect ourselves from degenerative diseases and pathologies like heart disease, cancer, and dementia. And this is only exclusive to this act of fasting and boosting our body's shield against anything that can offer us any type of harm. Along with this concept of hormesis, we also undergo a phenomenon known as autophagy, which is like our body's cellular cleansing process. When we enter into a state of not eating or drinking, we have a rise of a very special hormone that's known as glucagon. And what glucagon does in our system is it travels to all the different nooks and crannies and places tags on parts of our cells, different enzymes, different things that may not be functioning to their most optimal potential. And now once all these tags are placed, because of this hormone that's present, because someone is fasting, our body goes into its own sort of spring cleaning. And now this old cellular debris, these old ruptured enzymes, these things that can cause us major pathologies in the future like cancer, heart disease, and other health ailments, are now being taken out from our body simply by being in a state of fasting. And now along with this cleansing process, we also experience an uptake of human growth hormone. And this is like the miracle grow of our bodies and the fountain of youth. And so what happens is autophagy occurs. We bring all the old parts that are rusty and old and cause us to age at an accelerated rate, and we get rid of all of these things. And then human growth hormone comes in, and now this gives us the tools we need to replace all those old parts we just took out with brand new shiny parts. So it's like our body undergoes a cleansing and a renovation simply by not eating and drinking for a set period of time. And the last thing I'll discuss is how fasting has such an incredible impact on the brain of a human being. And this is specifically found in the hippocampal region of our brain. And that's an area that is affected by things like very prominent neurodegenerative diseases we see in the world today. Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, schizophrenia. I'm sure all of us have dealt or been around somebody who's experienced something similar to this. But what happens is when someone fasts, this region in the brain goes through a different type of effect, which now creates a sense of neurogenesis, or the production of new brain cells. And now these neurodegenerative diseases that eventually cause us to lose our minds and have difficulties within our lives are now pushed either completely away or further into the future. This is because of one special protein in our brain called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And when this protein is present in our system, our brain undergoes spontaneous and very, very heavy amounts of neurogenesis. And so as we get older, we find that our ability to react to our environment becomes more enhanced. Our memory actually increases. And our ability to be better functioning or higher performing human beings continues to evolve, although we, on our biological clock, are starting to tinker down. So the benefits of fasting, my brothers and sisters, are those which can be discussed for such a long period of time. And I encourage everyone, with the consent of your healthcare provider, to try and pursue some small level of fasting. Because regardless of what religion you follow or what you believe, there are changes that occur within the body that are only exclusive to this wonderful act of fasting. And you find that although in the beginning this is something that provides a lot of difficulty for us, this is something that in the end we as Muslims during this month, and anyone who's ever fasted, start to look forward to as we get further into our journey. Thank you, everyone, for allowing us to provide this wonderful event, and I wish you all the best. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Brother Adil, with telling us a bit about your expertise. So, Dr. Ghada is here, right? So we're gonna have someone pass along some papers. If you have questions, we'll try to answer your questions with a Q&A session at the end, if time permits. So without further ado, I'd like to ask Dr. Ghada and Gawi to come to the podium with another 5 to 8 minutes of your presentation.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Prayers and peace be upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, our beloved Prophet. I'm here to talk about women's status in Islam. And it's a very big topic, so I'll try in the coming 8 minutes to wrap a little bit, touch a bit here and there. When I thought about this topic, I thought the best entry would be to ask, who was the first Muslim ever who converted to Islam when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came with his message? His wife, Sayyidah Khadija. So the first Muslim is a woman. Okay, and this Sayyidah Khadija, she was the one who hired him as her business manager before the marriage, before everything else. So she had a wealth of money. She had a caravan that goes to Syria, Sham, and she was prominent from a noble family, and she needed someone to help in the business. So when she hired him and she saw how trustworthy he was, after a year of going and coming, and people reported how he was credible, so she proposed to marry him. And she was 15 years older than he is. She broke all the social norms and rules of that society. And this is a Muslim woman that her name, the Chamber of Commerce in Saudi Arabia, the Women Chamber of Commerce, is named after Sayyidah Khadija, just an exemplary of how a woman in Islam can be a businesswoman, can be a wife, can be... And by the way, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't have any sons. She gave him 3 girls. And they were the ball of his eyes. He didn't need to have sons, unlike some ignorant people these days who claim that if they don't have a son, their name will go away. But he was so in love with his daughters. And the history of the Seerah tells us a lot about his daughters and their role in Islam. This is how we learn a woman's status in Islam, from the Prophet ﷺ's life and from the Quran, of course, from the verses of the Quran. So this is a great entry to the topic if you want to know more later. But then there is more. A woman have participated in social life in the beginning of Islam. Sayyidah Khadija again comes forward with her wealth and money. She funded the Islamic da'wah, the Islamic spreading of Islam in Mecca. She funded it until she died starving in a boycott when the Muslims were isolated and they were driven out of Mecca in the valley of, I forgot the name of the valley. So they had to sit in isolation. They couldn't buy food, they couldn't sell. For 2 years, they were in starving conditions, and Sayyidah Khadija died at that moment. Of course, she was older, 15 years older than the Prophet, and when he came with his message, he was 40 years old. So she died at around the age of 63, 62. But that's still young. But this is her sacrifice in life. So she gave an example of how a woman can be part of that social life, can be part of the non-profit organizations, can be part of a wealth and business management. And then there is a lot of other examples. The other wife of the Prophet who participated in political discourse when they wanted to go and do pilgrimage and they were barred from getting into Mecca. So she came to the Prophet and she said, they're not listening to you, but I'll tell you what to do so that they listen to you. And she told him what to do, and the Muslims listened to him. Another example, a lot of examples. in wars, they fought, they rode horses, they nursed, they participated in the women, the women from the Ansar, from the Medina. They came and they gave their pledge to the Prophet ﷺ for the obedience and like a political vote, just like the men, and they shook hands with him, and the reporter says that he saw the henna in their hands. So they have this role that they played, supporting the political movement of part of Islam, being part of that life. And then you can see it throughout history. Umar radiallahu anhu, the Khalifa, he had a woman leader who was in charge of the market, of the commerce, of the trade. She was investigating the market to see who cheats, what kind of products expired, who's in dispute with someone else. So she was like the Chamber of Commerce, head of Chamber of Commerce. And she reported to Umar ibn al-Khattab directly, without barriers. So these examples, there is plenty of them in the history. But this is one thing. But then there is also her identity. A woman gets married and she keeps her name. She doesn't change her name. And she keeps her money. She takes a dowry from her husband, a dowry from her husband as a gift for marriage. She keeps that gift, and her husband provides for her sustenance, for her well-being, and she doesn't lose her money for the marriage, like she doesn't partner with him. It's just God's will that she has this privilege. Same goes for if she gets a divorce and she has a child. He's responsible about sustaining her, about providing her, about if she's nursing that child. Even if she doesn't live in the same home, he gives her the shelter, he gives her the provision until she weans. And if they decide that she has the custody, she continues to receive from the ex-husband the provision and the sustenance for her life. Isn't that a privilege? She doesn't even have to go and fight in court. It's like a rule. It's there. It's the Sharia law. Now the mother and the sister, they say a sister inherits half of what a man inherits. Yes, true. So if there is a father who dies and he leaves 4 boys and a daughter and a mother, first the mother will take the 6 of the inheritance, and then the rest is divided into 9. 8 portions goes for the 4 boys and 1 portion goes for the sister. People think this is unfair, but guess what? These 4 boys have to take off their portions to provide a home and a shelter for her, sustenance and allowance and a car to the day she dies if she is not married, and if she's married it's her husband. And they do the same thing for their mother. So the women end up inheriting from the father, from the brother, from the cousin, from the sons. And guess what? In Saudi Arabia now, 50% of the wealth is owned by women. So whoever says women don't inherit, come on, let's look at the facts. And the reason this is happening, because accumulated wealth, if it's not recycled and reused, and this is what's happening in my country, that women are barred from doing different things by the Saudi law, which is something different from the Sharia law. So they end up not knowing what to do with their wealth. And then the wealth gets, stuck in the banks. And now the movement is to help women doing business, because this is how life should be, healthy, equal opportunities. A lot of things to say about women status in Islam and what they deserve and what they don't. I think the best way to end this 8 minutes, I'm sure I've exceeded 8 minutes, is to say a good example is this, what we are, what you see right now, the role model of us Muslim women being here, learning and participating in social life, and so I really thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about women's status in Islam, and I hand over. Thank you.
Dr. Hedaya, for a very enlightening speech. Without further ado, I want to invite Sister Malaka Shabazz Williams, who will also talk to us about women, so Muslim women in business. Please come to the podium.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. How do I follow Khadija? That's a challenge. But before I begin, my name is pronounced Malaika. It was a gift given to me by my husband, and it's something that I cherish a lot. I was his first Shahada, and it's been a wonderful journey. Part of what was given to me as Malaika, my name before I became Muslim was Angela. Before that, it was Angelique. My mother thought that I was like an angel until she got to know me a little better. And then she changed it to Angela after Angela Davis. So when my husband took Shahada and he wanted to select a name, I was very hesitant on changing my name. And the Imam asked me what my name was, and I told him what I was, and I told him what the story was. And he said, Malaika. And I said, okay. He said, that's an angel. And I said, that angel part didn't work the first time. And he explained to me that angels were warriors. That they weren't these little fairy things that people imagine them to be, that when you saw an angel, something was about to go down. And I said, I like that. So when I show up, it's kind of like that, that something is about to go down. So when we decided that we were going to build our lives, I was the first Muslim in my family, still am. He was the first Muslim in his family, still is. So we were on this uncharted territory of being Muslim on both sides. And so they didn't know exactly what to do. My family's from the South, his family is from the South and also from the Caribbean. So there were things that we just couldn't do and events that we didn't attend, and it was difficult, challenging for a while. So when I got the opportunity to come to speak tonight, I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. I didn't even know why I was being asked. We do what we do almost seamlessly because we have to. We have 5 children, 2 adopted older children. My youngest 2 are here, and my middle son is having a good time with his friend for graduation. I was a homeschooled kid, and we decided that we were going to homeschool our children. Again, here we go, path unlike anybody else. But we also decided that in raising our children, we wanted to blaze this new path. We wanted people to realize that there were so many different ways that you can do something, and that it wasn't quite as difficult or as different as people thought it would be. All 4 of my 5 children have their own businesses, including my youngest, who's 12 years old. We let them know early that when you decide your worth, nobody else can. And so they decided that they were going to go into business. They decided, why wait? So every time someone asked them, what are you going to be when you grow up? And they said, well, I'm doing it now. I'm an author. She's writing, one of my daughters is preparing, she's writing her 2nd book. My other daughter, she's 9. She started her business when she was 9, and she's 12 now, and she's branched out, and she's writing a book, and she makes floral accessories. My other son is a graphic artist. In our household, we have currently probably 11 streams of income. We decided what we were going to do. We decided how we were going to run our home. We decided how we were going to educate our children. We decided what our worth was. And that way nobody could tell us any different. So, yes, I have a cakery. Most people don't even know what that is. Yes, I do. I plan parties and I help you celebrate, and I still run into these moments when someone looks at me sideways and say, well, I'm having a quinceañera, can you're Muslim, can you do that? Yes. My daughter's having a bat mitzvah, how about that? Can you do that? Yes. The other day, a friend of ours, she's been my friend for about 3 years, thick as thieves. Her daughter was having her communion, and she didn't invite us. It wouldn't be the first time that we didn't get invited to something like that. And she waited to the 11th hour, and then she invited us, and I said, why didn't you invite me sooner? She said, because I was afraid to. I didn't know what you would say. I didn't know if you could go into a church. I said, what did you think was going to happen? We was going to catch on fire. We walked into the church. And she said, I didn't want to offend you. This is somebody that I've known. Our kids have had sleepovers for 3 years. And she didn't want to offend me by sharing something as sacred and as powerful as her daughter's communion, because she was afraid. It's time to not be afraid. I don't publicly speak. I'm afraid of that. But during the month of Ramadan, I asked for growth. And I tell my kids all the time, be careful what you ask for. My son used to pray for courage all the time. He used to swear he was scared of everything. I said, you keep praying for courage, monster's gonna show up. Because how are you gonna decide? How are you gonna see if you got any courage if the monster don't come? And then I did the same thing. I prayed for growth. And when Sister Iman came and asked me if I would speak, I said, see, that's that growth you've asked for. I am so honored to be here with you guys. I'm so honored to share Ramadan with you, because now it makes it a little easier. I become a little bit more comfortable. You become a little bit more relatable to me. And we see that there's more things that we have alike than we have that's not alike. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Every seat is full. I'm so proud. And if there's anything that y'all, please write some things down. If y'all want to talk to me about homeschooling, I'd love to talk to you about it. Talk to me about how you keep kids in business. I'll talk to you about that too. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Sister Malika, you said you're not a public speaker, but I'm telling you, you're a natural. So don't worry about that. So next I want to invite Sister Rachel Faust, who will also talk to us about her journey to Islam. So without further ado, Sister Rachel.
I just am so happy they told me how long I have, because I'm a talker. And I literally go on and on, so feel free to stop me. Okay, so like probably a lot of you in the room who aren't Muslim, I've talked to Muslim people in the past 3 years since converting, and I always tell them the same thing. Before I came into the mosque for the first time, I literally knew nothing about Islam. When I say nothing, I mean nothing. The first time I got invited to a mosque, it was by someone working in a gas station. He was ringing me up. I had actually just quit my job. I was extremely emotional. And he said, I want you to come hear my speech tomorrow. It's at it's at Hedaya Mosque. It's right down the road. I know you live in town. I see you in here all the time. I said, I'm not Muslim. You know, I wouldn't know what to do. He said, no. He said, just something in my heart is telling me that this speech is meant for you to hear. I don't know why, but I just feel it. I said, okay. I was literally just quit my job, so I was like not in that mindset of, you know, I kind of was like, well, I really believe in Allah. I believe in God. I have a very strong faith. I was raised by 2 Christians and, you know, grew up with my mom teaching Sunday school. My dad was a deacon in the church. So religion was always like definitely top priority. And we were raised with the morals and values that go along with being a Christian. So when someone says to me, God is telling me that you need to hear this, of course, in my mind, I'm like, why is he telling me this? You know, I wish he didn't tell me this. This is not the time. Like, I have to get my life together right now. I don't even know what I'm doing, you know? So I woke up in the morning and I was all over the place. I was still really emotional. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go get a massage. I just like need to focus, like physically, mentally. So I went and got a massage. And when I left, I was driving home. I lived in Newtown at the time. And I actually had to pass the mosque to get home. And I'm like, oh. And I look at the clock and it's 5 minutes to 1. And mosque starts at 1. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling kind of guilty at this point. I'm like, but I believe in God. I believe in Allah. And when someone tells me God wants you to do this, I cannot not do it. It's just who I am. So I walked in the mosque, and 3 years ago, my style was the skinny jeans, I had the cropped shirt, my hair was really long, I had it down. I didn't even know you were supposed to cover your hair in the mosque, or I didn't know if you were or weren't. I had no idea. I literally just strolled in off the street, and Sister Iman just, hi sister, how are you? Like, I was her best friend. I've never met like a more loving, welcoming human being in my entire life. I was a single mother of 4 children, and I used to try to bring my kids to church all the time. And I would walk in the church and they would look for my husband, you know, and I'm like, I don't have one, you know, and I would tell them, you know, I'm a single mom and I really want my kids to be brought up the way I was brought up. And they would sit me in the back row, because like, I don't know, I guess it was like not okay for me to be a single mom. So when I went to the mosque, I started telling Iman my life. I'm a single mom, I live in town. She's like, okay, yeah, just come in, we're about to pray. And she just ushered me right in there, and I mean, I'm like literally wearing tight pants, like tight, everything like short, hair down, no problem. And I just remember a couple of sisters just coming up to me, and without me even really noticing that they did it, they said, oh my gosh, we have this beautiful scarf, we just want to put it on you. They just put it on me. And it was like so natural. And I think the reason it was so natural because they kept referring to me as sister. And that really touched me, because I actually lost one of my sisters to a drunk driver. So I feel like that was actually like part of the message that God was trying to say to me. Because in Islam, when you lose something, God will replace it with something better. So I lost a sister, but these are all my sisters. All of these Muslim ladies, all these Muslimas are all my sisters now. I mean, every time I go to the mosque, I am greeted as a sister. And I have the biggest family now, and there's only God could have done what he did in my life. So I hear the call to prayer, and I just become completely emotional. I don't understand the language. I have no idea what's going on. And I just start crying. I mean, I just felt like just a complete connection to it, and I can't explain it to this day. I want to thank everyone for being here today. This is like a lot of hard work, and a lot went into this, and I know it's really difficult in this day and age to kind of combat a lot of the Islamophobia that's going on, and if you're in any kind of position to combat it. In Islam, we say if you can't change something, you know, with your action, you can change it inside your heart, you can speak against it, or you can just acknowledge that it's not right. But if you can speak up against something that you see that's not okay, that's not for the betterment of humanity, then you should do that. And that day when I walked into the mosque, I was accepted as a sister. I was in a really bad place that day, and I was welcomed. I never ever stopped going back. I barely ever miss a Jummah. I barely ever miss my Friday prayers. It has to be something like really, really important. I just want to learn about my religion. The more I learn, the more I love. I love talking about Islam. I love sharing it. I encourage all the Muslim people in the audience to talk about the religion, to not just, everyone says, you should just be the religion and like that's going to be enough. It's not enough. I knew so many Muslim people in my life, but they never shared the religion with me. So I can understand where the Islamophobia comes from, because if you're not talking about it, you're not sharing, and people, they might not even know you're Muslim. You might be the best person in the world, but if you're not sharing what you know, then it's not really helping anyone. Like, you have to share the knowledge, the power that you have. And every day I come into work, I always am constantly talking about God and Allah. I'm just always talking. God is Allah, just so any of the non-Muslims. Allah means God. So that's a big misconception. A lot of people think it's like another God, or like we pray to another God. It is God. It is the one God. And I think that's really important for a lot of people to know. So, like I said, I always tell Sister Iman, and I tell a lot of the Muslim people that I've become close to, there is a big mystery around the religion, and we need to demystify it, because it's such a beautiful religion, and it really does embrace all the different cultures. What I love about it is that it embraces different ethnicities, and no one is excluded. There's no racism in Islam, and that really touched me as a human, because it's really important to me that in any religion, that every single person should be welcome to that religion. You shouldn't only be accepted if you're a certain color, or you're from a certain part of the world, or you have a certain make a certain amount of money. No, everyone should be able to come to the house of Allah, come to the house of God, and feel comfortable. And that's the most important message that I really want to tell everyone today. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sister Rachel. Sister Rachel is an integral part of our community, and we're very happy to have her. And she participated in making the preparations for the room, so we're very grateful for her efforts. Last but not least, our dear brother Munji Dawoodi, who's going to talk to us about Sharia law and what does it mean in America. Please welcome him.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's always great to be here. I think this is my second time or third time on this stage before, and I see some familiar faces. Father Leo, very prominent. Some of my friends in the back, and some of our political leaders. It's great to be here today. So they gave me this easy task about talking about Sharia and Sharia law, and talk about some of the misconception about it. Not only that, but also talk about the recent rallies against Sharia and some of the questions that you might have. All of that in less than 10 minutes. But the thing is that when Sister Iman asks you to do something, it's very hard to say no. So I said yes, but I'm going to try to use these couple of minutes, because I know some of my Muslim friends are looking at the clock. I'm like, dude, you got to hurry up. Dinner, coffee is ready downstairs. But here's the thing. In a nutshell, if you really want to know what Sharia is, most of you, either Christian or Jew or other faith traditions, or maybe you're not particularly following any faith tradition. It's basically a manual that comes with your book that tells you how to run your car, right? So basically Sharia is the manual. It's these laws and bylaws and little things here and there that tells you how to live your life as a Muslim. That's what Sharia is in a nutshell. So inshallah, by the end of tonight, after you have, hopefully you break fast with us, you witness our prayers, some of you might want to join us. So by the time you leave, you're going to be Sharia compliant community member. So you actually might be a problem for some of these Islamophobes who decided about a week ago to hold rallies, and they did this across the nation. So there was about 30 rallies, about 30, 25, 30. And they held these, supposedly to defend America from this Muslim invasion who are trying to take over America and infiltrating the White House and the Senate and the Congress and put these Sharia laws in there. And so the thing is that when you hear it, and sometimes I tune in the radio to listen to some of these talking about Sharia, I get scared of Sharia too. And I'm a Muslim thinking that I'm following Sharia every day of my life. But the way they talk about it, and this boogeyman makes it so hard not to jump on the bandwagon, because after all, we all want to defend America. We want to defend this kind of gathering. Here's the thing. Every time I go, and like Sister Iman asked me to talk about Sharia and talk about some of these, let's say, crazies who are, trying to defend America, every time I try to talk about them, or if I go talk about ISIS, I find myself using the same arguments. I find myself using the same talking points, because both of them are two extremes that the majority of the Muslim community rejects. And we do not subscribe to their extreme interpretation of our faith. If there is anything you want to learn, that is the fact. Their crusade against Sharia is not about Sharia. It is about power, it's about politics, it's about hate, it's about race, it's about accepting the other versus rejecting the other. This gathering here, and the faces that I'm looking around, and the atmosphere, the little girls who were singing today. Not only that, but Hedaya Islamic Center itself is a rejection of the understanding of ISIS, of Islam, and the rejection of the understanding of the Islamophobes of Islam. Because after all, Hedaya Islamic Center was founded by women who got together and said, we want to find this Islamic Center. So my dear brothers and sisters, enjoy yourself tonight, but be ready for a fight tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Brother Munji, for a very enlightening report on Sharia. So we're also very honored today to have Congresswoman Elizabeth Esty, who will also give us some closing remarks right before the call for prayer. So I'd like to welcome Congresswoman Esty to the stage. With a round of applause.
Thank you, and good evening. You're a hard act to follow. That's the problem of being the end of the program. Well, like many of you here, when Sister Iman calls, the answer is yes, I will come. And she answered my call and came with me to the National Prayer Breakfast last year. And I want to thank her for honoring me in that way. This is such a wonderful evening, and so important. Because I have to say, I was pretty ashamed and embarrassed last week when one of 30 of these hateful rallies occurred in Waterbury, Connecticut, town next to me, in our congressional district. Doesn't represent what's best about America, and what's in this room represents what's best about America. In this town, as one of the young men said, the town that I love. In this town that we love, that Pat Lodra and Bob love. In this town which has come to represent for America, the town with the biggest heart. And that's what we're seeing tonight. And that's really what the hatred comes from fear. And what you are doing today by opening your hearts, your faith, is helping all of us understand what is so common. We are all brothers and sisters. We are lucky to live in this wonderful country. But we need to cherish that freedom, and we need to cherish each other. And when we don't know, rather than responding with fear or hatred, we have to answer with, I don't know, please help me understand. And that is what you are doing in the biggest way tonight, to help us understand. I'm going to have to take up fasting because I am worried about cleansing. That spring cleaning has not been happening, so I'm taking notes. Maybe I'll share them with Paul Ryan, who I do yoga with at 6 a.m. We all could use some spring cleaning. And now is a time. Now is the time when we are being judged, our souls are being judged, our values are being judged. And I'm so proud to do my level best, and I won't always get it right, but to represent this community, to represent all who live in our communities, to do the best we can, and to stand up for the values and the families and the communities that we love. So this is not about tolerance. That's actually a word I would like to get rid of, because that is, tolerate is what you do with, a little kid does with broccoli or not, you know? I tolerate that. That's not what we believe in. That's not what I believe in. That's not what my faith teaches you, and I know that's not what Islam teaches. It's about openness and love, and understanding and respect, and cherishing God in each and every one of us. And that's why I'm so grateful to you, all of you, and to Sister Iman. We are each other's brothers and sisters. And that's what unites us here today. And that's what needs to unite us in this country, because that is the only path forward. It has to be the path of unity and the path of support and respect. And you are doing that tonight. And I'm standing between you and breaking of the fast, so I'm going to stop now.
Thank you, Congresswoman Esty, for your nice words. We're also honored to have Newtown First Selectman Pat Lodra amongst us in the audience. If you want, we also want to hear from you with a few words to the audience. Please welcome her with a loud round of applause.
Well, thank you. I wasn't expecting to say anything. I was hoping just to be anonymous, sit in the back of the room, realizing I have so much to learn. So all I can say to you is that I come to you as a member of this community with an open heart, an open mind, and that is my message to everyone in my circle, everyone that I can teach, everyone that I can talk to. I have to say, you know, we are, in fact, brothers and sisters in this world. And there is a God in all of us. Thank you for saying that, Elizabeth. And I think that our religious faith, no matter what it is, reaches that place in each of us that is the center of who we are, our values, and our love for each other. So, again, thank you. I wasn't expecting to say anything. So, again, now I'm the person sitting between you. So I'm leaving the stage.
So the good news is there's 5 more minutes before we do the call for prayer. So I'd like to thank everyone who took the time today to show up. So again, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to come and sharing Ramadan with us. It is an honor to be with you today. Thank you for Congresswoman Esti and to First Selectman Pat Lodra. Thank you to our esteemed panelists. I'm not sure if there was any questions in the audience. We can take them over dinner as we have 4 more minutes. So at 8:30 sharp, I will call someone from the audience. Brother Abdul Rashid, you will perform the prayer, but I will ask someone to come and do the call for prayer. I want to end with some dua, which in Arabic means also a prayer. So since we are gathered here, of course, we're hosting the event, but we have people from different faiths. We have certainly our Christian brothers. I see some people from the Jewish community, maybe from other faiths. And this is what really we cherish here in Newtown. So let's all come together in prayer, and right after, inshallah, we'll do the call for prayer. And the Muslims will pray the Maghrib prayer, which is it's not the night prayer, it's the sundown prayer. And right after, we will transition down to the gym where dinner will be served. And we invite you all to come and share dinner with us. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah alladhi yakhluqu wa lam yukhlaq wa yarzuqu wa la yurzaq wa yut'imu wa la yut'am wa yumitu al-ahya'a wa yuhyi al-mawta wa huwa hayyun la yamut biyadihi al-khayr wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. All praise is due to God, who creates but he is not created, who gives subsistence but he needs no provision, who feeds but he takes no nourishment, who causes the living to die and brings the dead to life. But he is the ever-living who never dies. In his hands is all the good, and he is able to do all things. Alhamdulillahi malik al-mulk, mujri al-fulk, musakhir al-riyah, faliq al-isbah, ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. All praise is due to God, the owner of sovereignty, who sets the course of the skies and the stars, who controls the winds, who causes the daybreak, and who administers authority, the Lord of all the worlds. All praise is due to God for his indulgence, although he has full acquaintance with all things. All praise is due to God for his amnesty, although he has full power over all things. All praise is due to God for the respite that he allows in spite of provocation. He is able to do whatever he wills. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. O our Lord, do not let our hearts go astray after you had granted us guidance, and grant us mercy from your side. Verily, you are the great giver of favors. O our Lord, we thank you for this gathering. We thank you for having gathered us with our brothers and sisters from other faiths and brothers and sisters in Islam. We thank you for the dinner that will be served, for all the sustenance that you give us every day, and for giving us the guidance that you give us. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin wa ashabahu al-muntajabin wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin. It's now the time for prayer. It's time to do the call for prayer. I'd like to invite Brother Abdul Rashid. Can you do the adhan? And inshallah we'll assemble for prayer, and then immediately after prayer we'll transition down for dinner.
أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله